Welcome to On Thursdays We Thrive podcast. I'm Liana.
And I'm Sam. And our goal is to provide tools and resources to fight the stigma of mental health through a millennial lens.
Get ready to learn and thrive with us every Thursday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Keep thriving.
Welcome back to another episode of On Thursdays We Thrive. I'm Liana.
And I'm Sam.
And today we're going to be talking about self-esteem, accepting ourselves. We're always talking about relationships with other people, but today we wanted to really bring it down to how do we accept ourselves and the relationships that we have with ourselves. So today we also have an amazing guest, Kelly Weinstein. He is a social work therapist or an LCSW who has worked in a psych hospital, intensive outpatient clinic, and currently works in a group and private practice in Long Island. He created Elevation, the Do Therapist podcast, and became a therapist to fill a need and create a modern outlook on mental health to create a more digestible and relatable view on mental health to help those in struggling times and add some extra inspiration and motivation into everyday life. Ellie has been featured on Kelly Clarkson show, The Trauma Therapist, Mimosas with Moms, Holding Space, Breaking Taboo, Therapy Thoughts with Tiffany Roe, love her, and in multiple podcasts ranging from parenting, relationships, and mental health and infertility. His main goal is to help people on their journey to add support, care, empathy, expertise, and insight. He runs events, seminars, and individual coaching on topics from mental health awareness and public speaking coaching, relationship coaching, and confidence boosting. Whoa. Welcome, Ellie. Thanks for being here.
I really have to adjust the grammar on that one. That was, but thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I just love talking about relationships. It's something that's a huge passion of mine. And I guess I love love, or the journey of love.
Yeah.
And just making it work for people and kind of breaking it down in a more simpler way than how difficult and hard it can be, or we make it to be sometimes. So I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And it seems like you really do it all.
Yeah.
You have so many cool fun, like you would kill the fun facts question of icebreakers.
Yeah.
We can do it if you want.
I mean, I'm ashamed. I can't say anything now.
No, you can say anything you want. Just because I've done different things doesn't mean that you guys don't do amazing things. Certain situations happen because I made it happen, and certain situations were random, and it's a journey of me being a therapist and my goals and drives of life. And I'm a little maybe driven a little too hard sometimes, to a detriment. Like pulling back sometimes is not my strong suit. Mm-hmm. But I just want to make a difference in the world and see how that and where that takes me, I guess.
That's incredible. And we're so excited that you have the passion to talk about relationships, and then also you're able to identify the importance of the relationship within ourselves too.
Yeah, super important.
We're excited to have you. But before we get into all that, we're going to go into our glows and grows. Yeah. So Liana, do you want to start us off with your glow and grow?
Sure. I'd love to. So my glow is that last weekend I ran a 5K, the 9/11 Memorial 5K in the city. I did it in 2019 before COVID, and then obviously everything shut down. They haven't done an in-person one until this year. So I did it with two of my friends, and it just felt really good to run the entire thing. I mean, I walked actually for 30 seconds, but whatever, not important. But then finishing under 40 minutes, which I felt really good about, because I was definitely not a runner growing up. So I'm really excited about that. And then my grow is, Sam, you're going to laugh at this, because we were talking about this, was being too hard on myself in photos, because we did a bunch of photos and, we can be our own worst critic, our own worst enemy. So just constantly working on that. Some days, not a problem. Other days, a problem. So
yeah, and it's good that you're acknowledging, right? Because we're human too, and it becomes shocking to people that we still struggle, and we have to remind ourselves of these things too, and we might have good days and bad days with it, but constantly a work in progress.
Yeah. Yes. So Ellie, what is your glow and grow?
First of all, I love these terminologies. See, I don't have these cool acronym terminologies as a therapist. I got to get these things down. And first of all, I commented on the pictures that you posted. They were awesome. So
thank you.
I love it. It's so professional. It's so powerful. It's so just like, this is us. We're here. Like, it's very fun. I love the vibe of the pictures. So I would say that my glow, which is the positive, this week, my wife and I and family are out in Vegas visiting my in-laws. And, my schedule's pretty packed as a therapist and doing different things. And I had about like an hour or so between clients, and my wife and daughter were in the pool in the backyard. And I had two options. I can sit and chill and not be with the family, or jump in the pool with my clothes on, like I was wearing a shorts and t-shirt, and just enjoy the moment. And not worry about the time. And even if it was 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes with my family, that was my glow. I decided to choose the positive and like jump in the pool. And we had such a blast for 45 minutes, just playing with each other, enjoying each other's company, and really just making my daughter laugh and just having a good time and memories. The grow part, I would say, has been recently for me, my readjustment as a parent of two kids. So I have a daughter who's 3 and a 2-month-old little dude. And it's been a massive shift of difference between the two kids. And the grow for me is learning to be more patient and compassionate to myself, as well as patient and compassionate with my wife, with this massive shift of a different child, and the struggles that it brings. And it's a daily growth that doesn't look great some days, and some days is just 50% better. And it's just, we're not at a higher rate yet, but we're getting there because it's just about that process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations again. That is so exciting. And it's nice to hear that, like giving ourselves grace one step at a time, meeting ourselves where we're at is so important.
Yeah.
And the ability to choose something like that, of like your glow in doing so, is really important as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
I love this question.
So I'll start with my grow. So I said this in the episode prior because it's still occurring same week while we're recording, but it keeps happening in different ways. So I'm still struggling with like time management and organization, but more so like Liana and I was telling you this too. We have little vent sessions, if you guys can tell.
Yes.
But the effects of stress are actually stressing me out. And that's really weird to say and kind of funny, but it's like things that physically what's happening to my body is making me more stressed, and like, oh, just like stop being stressed. But then we have work and all these obligations to do. So I guess really just trying to figure out, a balance between it all, and really trying to prioritize better and listen to my body. So my glow though, is that I got to take a workout class early this morning, which I usually don't take. I don't usually take workout classes. I like work out on my own, but it's really like, that's like the most fun for me because I like being with a lot of people. I like someone, motivating me or yelling in a motivating way. And it actually happened to be one of my best friends who was coaching the class. So it was really fun and it started the day off right.
That's good. I saw that this morning. I was like, good for you. Early on a Friday.
Yeah.
But I feel that with the stress too, of like being stressed about the stress, about the impacts of the stress. And like,
stress about stress. But yeah, we're all human, right?
We're all human.
So when we come back, we're going to be asking the questions related to our relationships within ourselves.
Hi, my name is Gordon Gooding. I'm the founder and director of the Gooding Wellness Group. We are a group of mental health providers that offer individual and family counseling here on Long Island. I wanted to come on to talk briefly about how excited we are to be partnering with Leanna and Sam on this amazing podcast on Thursdays We Thrive. The podcast goals of talking about mental health and breaking down the stigmas of asking for help are a shared passion for each of us. Our team at Gooding Wellness provides counseling for all ages with a special emphasis on supporting families. We're available for in-person sessions here in Cold Spring Harbor, New York. And we also offer virtual sessions throughout New York State through our Long Island teletherapy service. To find out more, you can reach us at goodingwellness.com or at longislandteletherapy.com or by calling us at 631-351-2940. Remember, there's nothing you need to face alone. Until then, keep listening, be deliberate with your mental health, and keep thriving.
Okay, so our first question that we like to start with is, can you tell us how you got into this field and especially how you were drawn to specialize in relationships, both within ourselves and with other people?
Yeah, I love asking this question myself when I have people on my show, or especially therapists or mental health professionals, like, why are you doing this? Because it's not an easy field. It's not something that's always enjoyable or always fulfilling, but something that's very amazing experience as well at the same time. It's this very weird combination of feelings and emotions within a therapy session. So when I was diagnosed with ADHD as a kid, so since I was 8 years old, and anxiety, and was in and out of therapy for years. Family stuff, things went on in the household, nothing too intense, but therapy was needed. Family therapy was needed. And I found the experience of having that person in my life and having the person in my family's life such a beautiful thing. And I don't know about you guys, but growing up, I was always the person that friends went to talk to for advice and for help. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I knew what the hell I was talking about, but like throughout high school, the girls would talk to like dating advice. Mm-hmm. I guess I was friend zoned a lot, and then my bros, my guy friends would talk to me about different things, like what should I do here, and I was always the listener. And for years, I thought it was because I had massive ears. It's like, oh, okay, I can hear a lot. But then I started realizing this is what I want to do. I want to be with people. I want to talk to people. I love people. I enjoy listening and being around people. I'm not a desk kind of person sitting behind a desk all day. So I thought to myself, okay, what skills do I have? And doctor was not one of it because I hate school. And I said, okay, what can I do that's shorter? And I fell into being a therapist. And it's been a really amazing learning process for me to find what I wanted to do and what niche or niche, depending on how you pronounce the word. We can go with niche to really throw people off. Like Target, niche will be really fancy. Your niche of life. And it was really just through school. I went to Fordham University in New York, and it was an unbelievable experience. And I interned in a psych unit for a little bit, and I went, okay, so that's really interesting and really out there. Not my speed of what I want to do for the rest of my life. I did outpatient treatment, intensive outpatient, not what I really want to do with my life. Mm-hmm. But I think we all need to start with ourselves first. As any therapist, as any human, not that we have to fix ourselves or work on ourselves, even though I don't like the fixing term. We have to work on ourselves more to be able to be better in relationships. We don't have to be perfect to be in a relationship, but we need to know who we are. We need to work on ourselves and figure ourselves out to be better for ourselves so that we can be our best selves for our relationships. Yeah. And that just brought me into the relationship world. And as a married guy, as someone who loves and always was helping people in their dating life, I was like, you know what? Let me go for this. And I love it. Like, I love it. It's so different. It's such a challenge. It's such a different perspective. It's one of my specialties. It's that anxiety. And I started, really dabbling in parenting, to be a male figure in the parenting world, not just for dads, but to be a male voice for parenting. Because a lot of parenting experts are female, which is wonderful, and moms are drawn to that. And I'm like, you know what? A male voice isn't so bad. Let's try it. And that's one of the reasons why I started really having the podcast. Being on social media is like, I don't see male mental health professionals a lot being out there, open, bigger platforms, bigger things, actually providing healthy, real, research-based, educational things. And that's been my journey so far.
I love that. I love that you found something that you were interested in, because we know with ADHD, if we're not interested in something, I don't even know what the heck was said. And we just will, fall out of love with it very fast. And you found relation to it and stayed really consistent with it. I think that's just really awesome. And like you said, like being the friend that everyone went to, which can at times be detrimental because you want to be able to have people there for you. And sometimes that becomes blurred if we're always just the go-to person, right? So very relatable, very awesome story and journey with that.
You pegged me on that one.
Yeah.
That person who was always there for others but never found that
That's
You
what
know,
happens. Yeah.
it's hard. And the funny thing is that with the ADHD piece, why do you think I have a podcast and I do speak it and I do. It's
Yeah.
because all the little things fulfill some piece of the puzzle in some way or another that makes me and keeps me interested.
Mm.
And it could be to a detriment when you do too much or when you pull yourself in multiple different directions. But it's about finding that balance that works for each of you, each and every person.
And I also heard the self exploration of like, okay, I like this, but I relate to that a lot of like, what am I good at? I sucked at sports. I'm not, I mean, academics. I mean, I ended up getting better through college and grad school. But what I always knew that I wanted to do was be a therapist. And I didn't know what direction to take until I learned about being a licensed mental health counselor. And I was like, oh, sick. You don't have to get your doctorate. I'm about that. So,
No GREs?
yeah, exactly. So like being able to find your path and be patient with ourselves. And I like how you said it kind of like starts with ourselves. And I think a lot of times we can become detached from our own selves. So like, why do you think it is that we struggle with, I guess, trusting ourselves or accepting ourselves? Like, why do you think that first problem is there?
Well, I would say that it really starts with the idea of, are we willing to look? Sometimes we don't want to look. Sometimes we're afraid of like actually opening up that door and being honest and transparent with ourselves. We expect it and want it from others. Like, just be honest with me. Tell me the full truth. Let me see into your closet and all the skeletons. And sometimes you're afraid to look there too, but sometimes we don't really want to know ourselves. And I think the hard part really comes down to, and it sometimes can start with even go deeper if we were ever allowed to do that. Now, I grew up in the 90s, and I grew up in a time period where parenting was very much a dismissive, you're going to listen to me because I'm a parent, and I'm the power, I am the law, I am the fear, and if that's the case, you don't get to express because you don't, we have to. We got to do this, we got to do that, stop it. All those things were very much who you are as a self might not be allowed or shown or safe or protected or comforted or even, who knows, loved. So I think a lot of people, depending on how they grew up and where they grew up, maybe were never allowed or even comfortable enough to go like open up and say, here's who I am. I mean, that's why if you look at the biggest person right now in the mental health world, Brene Brown, is all about opening up that door because people are like, oh, you're allowed to do that? Vulnerability is okay? Yeah. And the world's like so thirsty for it because people were told like, don't share, don't show, don't do that, which is your self-esteem, which is who you are, which is understanding yourself. So that's why I think where it starts sometimes, depending on the person, of course.
That's so interesting that you say that because as you mentioned Brene Brown, I'm thinking about her special on HBO, The Atlas of the Heart, and how when she was going through all the feelings, everyone's like, oh, what? These feelings? What do you mean? And it does, I always think it starts from, of course, childhood, what we're grown up in, our genetics, everything like early on, and how that creates a narrative for later in life. So I think it'd be important for people listening to kind of reflect back and ask, like you were saying, ask ourselves, what was I allowed to do? What was I allowed to think, feel, speak? So important and kind of cool.
And just to jump in, even for some people who had a childhood where they were allowed to do everything, but it was dictated by their parents, like do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that. That wasn't even their choice. They weren't part of that conversation. And whether you were constricted or you were allowed to do everything with someone else's permission, still isn't you, right? It still isn't your journey. It's why college, whether you agree with college, like college, is such like a transformational experience for so many people because it's a time where they're like, wait, I don't have to answer to anybody. And if I want to go to this party, I'm going to go to this party. If I want to take this class, I get to choose that class. Now, I might have a constriction of like I can only take a certain amount per semester, or I have to take those classes to actually pass or to graduate college. But within that framework, I have choice. I have freedom. I have ability. I have myself. And then that's where a lot of issues come up. We're like, well, what does that mean? Like who I don't even know if I want it. I don't even know what I like.
Yeah.
And that's when a lot of stress comes through with college.
And then it seems like, from what you're saying, that we can also learn this environmentally, like even if it's like a little bit with our parents and then environmentally with friends, or in other types of situations. And we're reliant on their opinions and values of things because maybe they judge us for having a different view, or we feel stupid if we think differently. So then that has shut us off. So like you're saying, when you're saying, what do I even like? What am I even interested in? And we're like, okay, well, everyone's doing this major. This sounds good. And then they end up leaving college and they're like, what did I even do? So, how do we even begin to accept ourselves in that way to be able to trust our own views and values and things, regardless of what others are telling us, if we've developed that from childhood?
So I want to first back up for a second and let's just piggyback off what you said before. There's a great book by Justin Baldoni called Man Enough. And he talks about just the struggle. I'm going to speak just from a man's perspective of the feeling of being vulnerable and open about self, right? Which is considered in the men's world or masculinity world as being a problem or weak or less than or not enough. And he said that he used this word social currency, that in high school, if he did not go in line with the other guys, if he kind of pushed back on the accepted societal norm that was created in his area, he would lose social currency. He wouldn't be considered, he was an athlete, top of his class or whatever he was, cool, whatever that ridiculous concept means in high school, or even as an adult. I don't even know what that means. You'd lose that. You'd lose that footing in that podium or in that running for whatever you're going for. And there's that fear. So people fall in line out of fear of losing that social currency or that friend, quotes, or that person or that class or that acceptance. And we're living in a time right now where you can have an opinion on dogs versus cats. I'm not even going political or religious here. Dogs versus cats, and someone's like, "You're the worst person in the world. You're probably a sociopath because you like cats and not dogs. Who doesn't like dogs?" And it's like,
I literally just have to say, I've used the cat versus dog example, ironically, 3 times this week in client sessions.
good.
To just relate that people can do and find it acceptable. So that's so funny that you just happened to use that example.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting thing.
Yeah.
That people get so passionate and so personalized about something that maybe not be as important, but have such a strong opinion. So if I have an opinion about something so simple that gets attacked, why would I share myself? Right? Yeah. If I'm in a relationship, let's pull it to a relationship. If I'm in a relationship where every time I talk, and every time I say something, or every time I have a true, honest feeling, not bad, mean, malicious, angry, just like, hey, I want chicken soup for lunch. What's wrong with you? Chicken soup?
Yeah.
Like, we should eat, tacos. And it's like, oh, okay, let's eat tacos. And it just keeps teaching you that when you speak and you share, you're going to be considered stupid, less than, or shut off. So why would you ever want to show your true self? And that just continues to recharge that thought process of, when I share, I get shut down. When I share myself, I get pushed aside. I get dismissed. I get diminished. I get stonewalled. All those fancy words we can use. I get shamed for just feeling me or saying me. And it doesn't mean you have to say something. We're not talking about extreme views here. We're talking about middle of the road feelings and thoughts that matter to you. So how do you start? Let's pull it to the question. How do you start? You first have to be comfortable with yourself. Do I believe this? What are my beliefs? Do I know myself? Do I know what I like, what I don't like? And starting by trying to share little by little with people that give you the space to do that. Because there's always going to be people out there that don't. Whether it's your parents who don't anymore, whether it's your siblings, your friends, certain colleagues, you have to learn who's safe to do that with. Because you can't control them, and it sucks that they do that, and it's unfair to you. But it also means that it's not impossible when you have the people that give you that support.
Yeah, it sounds like we need to find, you know, prove to ourselves rather that it's not all people. It's not I'm stupid. I haven't found the right people that understand me or are willing to understand me. And just being able to prove to ourselves in that way. And I forgot I was going to say something else, but it slipped my mind. But it seems like that's the way that we understand ourselves, is by being able to explore that. Because if we're not learning from other people or expressing ourselves, if we're, like we said in the earlier thing, if we're always the friend that is helping everyone else and we're not allowing ourselves to, hey, well, you know, because we're friends and I'm not their therapist, actually, what happens if I just mention a problem? And they may not have the same reaction, but can I accept that there are some people I can't vent to, or maybe don't give me that reaction or reassurance that I need, but there are some other people.
Yeah. And this is something that I kind of do with like people pleasing. Like I work with people with people pleasing, codependency, or even trauma survivors when it comes to like trusting ourselves and finding those safe people. Because we've been told, or the message that we've gotten is that people are not safe, or that like I'm in danger. And so it's kind of what I'm hearing is that we're kind of like rewiring our brain to recognize, okay, I can be trusted within myself. I can trust myself. I can also find other people that I can trust, and I can also be safe with other people. So I like how just starting very slow with, can I just share a little bit? Like, I do like cats.
And acting confident with it. With whatever you're gonna say. What did you say?
I was like, I do like cats.
Yeah.
But like like I made a joke with somebody that like if you say like I hate pizza or ice cream or like dogs, like people are like, what's wrong with you? Like you, right? And that's just a like or dislike. We're not talking about a real raw feeling that you're having. And I think the hard part is that we equate what happens on the internet, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, or any other platform. I don't know if there are any new ones that I'm not mentioning, where like someone's evaluation of ourselves is considered reality when they are, versus an actual interaction with a person we actually know, trust, who cares about us. And I think that there was a great documentary called The Social Dilemma on Netflix that scared the living daylights out of me as a therapist, especially the mental health analytics of how many kids, especially girls, from now the ages of 11, even younger, maybe 10, that are having extreme depressive and suicidal thoughts. It's up like 200 something %. Now, I make a joke that as a therapist, I suck at math, and I do suck at math. Math is not my strong suit. I never knew that was a possible percentage. Like, it's up 200%. I'm like, I thought it only goes up to 100.
Yeah, how did that happen?
I don't know. Who knows? It's up above and beyond. Who knows? I don't do math. It's an imaginary number. We'll just do that. That's the only thing I remember from math. But the reality is that the world has shifted where evaluation of self has been so destroyed, attacked, diminished, and hurt that we don't even know who we are. Even adults who didn't live in that world are now questioning, well, I don't look this way. I don't feel this way. I don't talk this way. I don't look like this celebrity. The comparison game is one of the other thing I was going to say before is a killer of self-evaluation and self-worth. Like, why does it matter that I don't look like a CrossFit, I do CrossFit, so a CrossFit athlete, or why I don't look like, why my wife doesn't look like, which I never think because I think she's beautiful and gorgeous and I love her to pieces, why my wife does not look like my first crush as a kid, Halle Berry or Jennifer Aniston, right? Because she's not them, right? But because we now have access to everybody, billions of people and lives connected to our view, that when we post a picture, we see a picture, we think a curated picture is reality. And now I look at myself and I go,
that's not me. That's not me.
That's not me. So they're getting likes and follows. They're getting views. They're getting this thing. And I do this sometimes as well. And I struggle with this, which should probably be my grow as well. I didn't get a lot of views and someone else is doing the same thing and they did the same, and they're getting millions of views. But what are they doing? Maybe I'm not doing something right. Maybe I'm not in the right place. Maybe, and then the anxiety.
And then it's like, what's wrong with me? It
Exactly.
becomes like a me issue morally.
Yeah. Versus like they can do their thing, I can do my thing. We can live in the same place, live in the same area, do the same thing, and be okay. But the comparison game is a stealer of self-love, is a thief in the night. It's a silent killer of self-love and self-worth. And it's so scary that even the healthiest of ours are still struggling with that on a good day.
Yeah.
Imagine a bad day, scrolling at 3:00 in the morning when you're in a bad headspace. Imagine that.
No,
so what do you expect?
It's so bad. I literally just told the client this week, like, please go watch The Social Dilemma, because like I actually want to rewatch it, because I think it's something that we do need, those constant reminders. But because like you said, we're picking up our phone every day. We're looking at other people around us. If we're trying to get along this journey of self-acceptance, or even like self-respect, self-neutrality, right? Like, can we be neutral with ourselves? What else do you feel like how do we continue to explore ourselves and learn more about ourselves, even if it's outside of like our values or stuff like that?
I think an open heart. I think one of the biggest things that we struggle with as a society is we're very closed-minded, and not everyone, but a lot of us are closed-minded and our hearts are closed to things that are the other. I think if you look at the research and the people that talk about, I'm not here to get political or social or societal, but if you look at like Emmanuel Acho wrote a book, Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. And he said in the book, the idea of not knowing what the other is causes us so much fear and anxiety that we avoid it and stick to what we know, which there is a pro to that, being comfortable in your community, being near people that you feel loved and supported by. That's a great thing. But not knowing about the other and closing yourself off and hiding from the other. I mean, why is it so bad for two people with two political beliefs to sit and just talk? Not attacking, just listen, open, hear something, maybe learn something. Why is it so bad that, why is it so hard for two baseball teams? Like, I grew up a Yankee fan. Oh, my father told me when I was dating, he said, you better not marry a Red Sox fan. As a joke. Yeah. But like, really? Who cares?
Like, we're talking about this? Like, what?
Yeah. But like, he was joking. But in the end, like, we're so closed on the other people that we might not see eye to eye with. And we're so afraid. Now, we all have our fears. We all have anxieties. I'm not saying you should push yourself to the limits of like going fear factor to like something ridiculous, like jumping off a roof, or like my biggest thing with like the tube with the tarantulas in it, like kill me now. No, thank you. It doesn't mean that if you're afraid of speaking that you have to force yourself to speak in public. You don't. I'm not saying you need to push yourself in exposure therapy here. I'm just talking about start opening your heart and opening your mind to learning to be neutral to the more positive respect of just other humans having opinions and ideas and thought processes and other opportunities of the other. And we start opening ourselves up to the other idea, the other thing. It doesn't mean we're now going to change our mind if we don't want to shift our perspective. Don't be afraid to just hear or try or do.
Right.
I mean, last point in this idea is like, my wife and I are leaving New York. All I know all my life has been New York. I grew up there. It's what I'm comfortable with. I know the streets. I know the ideas. I know the concepts. I know where to go for this and where to go for that. And we're picking up and moving to the desert of Las Vegas. So crazy random. But the other ideas, the other of being open in my heart to the idea of what the positives can be for my family and my wife and my life and the quality. Because my heart opened, I used to be closed to the idea. We're never leaving New York. And I saw the idea of being open and respecting to just, let me hear it. Let me think about it again. Let me look at it from a different perspective. And now, exactly, curiosity. And now I can't think of anything else better to do. So you never know when you open your heart and open your mind and be curious. I love that word.
Yeah. And like, just like we always say, right? Like, we don't know what we don't know type thing. But like you mentioned, and it's such a strong point, and I say this often to people, is that we don't need, if we're asking someone about their views in which we thought we could have never shifted, this is all we've known, and this is what we like bleed out every day. Just asking them to understand someone doesn't mean that we have to change our views. The conversation could just be like, this is why I feel this way. Okay, that makes sense as to why you feel that way. This is why I feel this way.
Yep.
And then the conversation can end. We don't need to leave the conversation having to have changed someone of their beliefs and things.
If you want, there's a great social psychological book called The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt. I think you pronounce him Haidt. Now, depending on, he's pretty much in the middle politically, so I hope. I just don't get a vibe from his book that he's either way. He comes from a research perspective of why good people who have valid who can think for themselves, who learn for themselves, who research on the fight so aggressively at each other and to each other, and stopped listening and being respectful that this is your thought, this is your opinion, this is your idea, I still like you and I can move on with my life. Instead of, he talks about the idea of personalizing every conversation.
Right.
Personalizing it as, this is my thought and this is my stand. And the funny thing enough is that I recently worked with a few couples on this idea of like a couple is fighting on private school versus public school. And they took it on as their fight. Like, this is me. Not, this is an idea separate from me. This is me.
Right.
And they are just at each other's throats. And I had to ask them, like, what are you fighting for? For you or for the idea? And they're like, well, this means a lot to me because I did this and this is what I believe. I'm like, but see, when the other person pushes back on that, what you're doing is you're actually taking it as a stab in the heart versus them attacking an idea or talking about an idea separate from you.
Yes.
And then we're not open. We're not listening.
Right.
We're not learning. We're not we're not receptive. We're not reflecting at all because we can't see something else because we're so attached and not looking at the other and not being curious about the other.
Right. And it's like, it becomes not even about the situation, like you said, not even about the situation anymore. It's just, I need to prove my point because you're making me so angry.
Yeah.
And once we let go of that, of the idea that we have to change someone else's way of thinking, a lot of stress gets relieved.
Yeah, there's a really good saying that I heard on a podcast, and it was like, do you want to be right or do you want to connect? And it was like, oof, okay.
Oof.
Yeah, like that's a good one. Yeah, like,
that hit home. Oh.
Yeah. So, that makes me wonder too, is like, in order to, or not just in order to, but if we're thinking about starting a relationship or we're even in a relationship, what do you feel is something like important to learn about yourself or just know?
Great. So I have a few points. Now with my ADHD, I might say I have 2 and end up with 4. So bear with me. My brain continues running as I'm talking. It's a very fun thing inside my head. But I'll start with the first one. The first one is answering the question of why you want to be in a relationship, right? Are you doing it because you're lonely? Okay, great. Are you doing it because everyone else is doing it? Are you in a relationship because you want to get married or have a long-term relationship and don't want to be married? There's no wrong or right here. Why do you want to be in a relationship? That's number 1. Number 2 is, do you think that you're ready to have another human being a part of your life in an intimate, deep way? Versus just a friend who you see here and there. Are you willing or open to have someone so involved, potentially moving in with you, having sex intimately, intimacy of depth of a relationship, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all those things. And if you feel that you're not ready for that, great. So get help with that, because it doesn't mean it's impossible and you have to be closed off forever. And I will say that number 3 is, you don't have to be 1,000% ready to be in a relationship and grow with the person as they're growing too, because no one is 1,000% ready for a relationship. You never are. No, just like no one's 1,000% ready for a commitment to marriage or even having kids.
yeah.
You're never, ever, ever 1,000% ready, because there's something new that's going to come up and something different that's thrown your way that you could not prepare for, because it's not a script. This is not a TV show. This is not someone who writes things for you. This is a complex human being, and you're a complex human being with 2 different ways of living, 2 different value systems, 2 different beliefs, 2 different everything. Whether you connect and like or agree on things doesn't mean it's the same way. So don't try to be perfect. There's a story, a metaphor of like a community years and years and years ago, which probably never existed because it's a fake story, where they had a water that was salt water. And the mayor, town, whoever was making the rules said, before you use the water, you have to filter it to make sure that all the salt is out and use it. And for years it worked. Well, years down the line, a fire broke out. And what did they do? They took the water, they filtered it, and by the time they filtered the water to use it, everything burned down.
It's too
And
late.
the head person, the president, the king came out and said, "What's wrong with you guys? There was a fire. You have to put out the fire." I said, but you told us. I said, but you're so stupid. If you need it, you got to use it. So we're never, ever going to be filtered perfectly to use everything of ourselves to either, and relationships shouldn't be putting out fires, but to get involved and to do something. If you want it and it's there, go for it. Now, if you have a lot of stuff to work on, that's what therapists are there for, to help you through that process and navigate it. And the fourth thing is be compassionate with yourself and patient. That if you tried it and you weren't ready, now you know. And you know why you're not ready. And then you try it again when you maybe have worked on it a little bit. And who knows, a relationship might bring out things in you of self-awareness that you would have never known without it. And you would have never been able to prepare for that to begin with.
I love that you did almost like debunk the idea that you have to be 100% ready for a relationship, because I think as you were speaking, I was reflecting on my own type of past. And like before I met my husband, I was a complete different person. Like, I think I changed the most throughout the time that we've been together. Right. And like, if I were to say like, no, I'm not like completely ready or whatever it might be, I would have missed that. I would have missed out on a lot of change. I would have missed out on our relationship, on a lot of things, right? Like you said, we're constantly growing. We meet someone from different background and values that we can then learn from, grow with. So, and also that like, if we want to continue growing, we can do so, whether we're in the relationship or not, in therapy, or religion, spiritually, whatever it might be. We don't ever have to stop working on ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't have to, right. We don't have to stop working on ourselves. And we also could be ready to identify that all the things that we are used to just doing by ourselves, and maybe the stress that we just build upon ourselves, or the mental breakdowns we have, whatever that looks like, we have someone with us in this journey. So that's why a lot of reflection is going to come back. And when we're, like I said before about the changing aspect, when we're trying to say, well, if you just do this and you just do this and you just do this, you're going to be great. But then we kind of sometimes lose sense of ourselves. And then it's like, well, am I taking care of me? And that's the part of the relationship where a lot of people will say like, I can't do this. The relationship's too much for me. But what happened there? Are you able to take care of your own self individually and within the relationship, and having the separate?
I love that. I knew someone who was dating someone seriously, almost getting engaged. They were dating for a couple of years. And the entire engagement, pre-engagement, was when we get married, you'll change this and I'll change this and you'll be this and I'll be that and I'll be this and you'll be this, and then we'll be happy. It didn't. They broke the engagement because of that, because they realized they weren't even happy with the people that they were with right now, or even themselves.
The potential.
So why are you with someone? You're with the potential change if all things align. And the biggest thing is that when we are secure with ourselves, or even just in a relationship, that we are secure with the person, that we know that they got our back, that we know that they're our teammate, we know that they support us, they respect us, they honor us for who we are and who we might be or who we're going to be, as well as that we're going to respond the same way to them. I'm not the same person I am when I first got married. And that's not a bad thing, because if someone marries me in the thought process or is with me in the static belief that I am this forever, it's going to end.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to end because I am going to change. I don't wear the same clothes. I don't act the same way. I don't behave the same way. My thoughts have progressed. My career has shifted. Our relationship has shifted. Kids have shifted our relationship in for the better, and caused struggles that have brought things out for us to be better as a couple, and have caused, the struggles of our lives and our marriages have shaped us for who we are. But if I'm sticking to this static belief of that you have to be this forever, you need someone who's willing to grow and move and flow and have this psychological flexibility, like the ACT, therapy model, like the psychological flexibility to be able to move with it and not be black and white. And if you have that person who's supporting you and you're supporting them, it doesn't matter if you're 100% ready, because you're with it together, growing, going, doing, being, moving through life. And as long as you're willing to have that person by your side who chooses you every day for who you are that day, then it will work out most times.
Can I just ask a question? Just
Please.
Maybe you can clarify for some people too, because I think you made really good points and I don't want it to get lost to interpretation sometimes. So when you say that, like, because of course people are going to change, and when we're finding a partner, we want to make sure that they're allowing us to grow and most of the time assisting us in our growth, right? Through like challenging us and stuff like that. So how do we differentiate between acknowledging that we're going to grow as people and we should be growing and we want to be challenging our partners, and then falling in love with potential?
Ooh, I love that. Mm-hmm. So the idea of falling in love with potential is the idea that it's like these hope and promises that everything will work out. The idea of someone growing and changing with you is the unknown. Like, you don't know what's going to come, right? So if I don't know what's going to come, and I'm not putting this image in my mind that, for example, a classic thing people talk about, which I think is a ridiculous standard people set to themselves, that if I get in shape, then I'm gonna be sexually attracted to them, or if they just lose a few more pounds, then I'll be happier. If we live in a bigger home, then we won't get into so many fights. All these things that are like this exact model in my head that if this and this happens, everything will be, that potential will now create happiness, joy, fulfillment, connection. The idea of growing together is that one day you can be one way, another day you can be another, and then 3 days later you can go back to where you were 5 days before, right? I know that wasn't good math, but in the end, you're having someone who sees you. And if you look at the research of Sue Johnson, right, or you look at the research of Gottman Institute, one of the most important things, and this is more Gottman Institute of their research of like 40 years, the base foundation, not communication. Communication is a great tool. Communication's not the biggest success rate. Mm-hmm. It's friendship. It's friendship. So if you have that friendship with someone, but a deep friendship, not just a colleague from work, but a deep love of that person in your life who's with you by your side, supporting them, and like I said before, choosing who they are and how they show up every day. That's what continues and creates that ability to buy in to them, for them to buy into you, for them to be there for you, to show gratitude, love, affection. And when you build that friendship first, not that you have to be friends first, because that you don't need that either, but when you build that strong friendship, that is a higher statistical rate of a successful relationship than having the perfect communication. Because what if I hate your guts, but I can communicate with you?
Yeah. Right.
That's a point.
That's the point.
Right. What if I can't stand you? But, I said my words well, and I used we and not I.
I sounded good.
Right?
Yeah, we got to the root of the problem.
Right? I was very clear with you with my words, and I was very communicative, and I hear and understand you, but I hate your stinking guts. Where's the friend? So that's what Gottman actually talks about, is that basic level is the most important foundation, is that support system with that person through the ups and downs, through the growing, through the glowing, and through all the different things that you do in your life is super important.
Wow. I love that. That's like a great, I'm going to use that going forward. The friendship. Yeah. That's so great. I mean, all of this has been so helpful. I think it's going to help a lot of people, because it's just like human existence. This is just things that we all struggle with. We're all human. So thank you for everything. Thank
you for having me. I love meeting new people. I love the social media has connected me to you guys. You guys are awesome. And really, we'll talk later, I guess, if you guys want to come on my show. And really just create an atmosphere of respect for each other's businesses and jobs and amazing work that therapists are doing out there. No matter how big or small, we're all really just trying to help people. So the fact that you asked me to be on the show, I was so honored, because it's just like, I feel very honored for people to want to hear what I have to say. And they might not like it, but the fact that they asked me to want to talk is really nice to begin with.
Yeah. Well, we're going to hear more about everything you offer. So when we come back, we're going to ask you a little bit about your services, how people can find you, listen to the pod. So, yeah. Oh, right. So Ellie, tell us and our listeners more about the services you offer and where everyone can find you.
Sure. So I'm a therapist out in New York and soon to be licensed in Nevada. So anyone listening, if you're in those states, I am more than happy to work with you as a therapist. I specialize in relationships, anxiety, and dabbling in parenting, and I am certified in trauma work as well. I have a podcast called The Dude Therapist. I am just a dude who is a therapist. It's not a podcast just for dudes. It's just I thought it was a catchy name. You know, there's the angry therapist.
I do like it, yeah.
Right? I'm the dude therapist. I'm a dude who's a therapist, but it really guests of all ranges of so many different topics from relationships, parenting, and how to work on ourselves as being humans. I do public speaking, so if anyone who's listening wants to fly me out or I drive somewhere to speak about mental health, parenting, relationship work, things of that nature, please contact me. I'm more than willing to come to your community, come to your school, come to anything that you would like me to do. And I offer some coaching as well. So the coaching, which is a new thing for therapists to do, is that it's a separate entity of my therapy practice. Don't worry, legality there, is that it's more of a surface-based, short-term work on very surface level issues that we would discuss and figure things out from there. But please, even if I can't help you, reach out, say hi, and if I can't, I'll try to help find someone who can. And if not, it's really nice to know that someone at least is answering. So that's who I am and what I'm doing right now.
Amazing. We need more men in men who are therapists and men in therapy, but
I was gonna say, but I guess both apply.
Yeah, we need all of it.
No, that's incredible. And just all that you offer and that you do and your passion toward this all, and that you're taking the jump to now be licensed in Las Vegas. So congratulations on that again. And so now we're going to ask you a rapid fire question. So what is a trend from the 2000s that you loved, but looking back, you're like cringing?
Oh my gosh.
There's so many.
So many.
So many.
Is it personally that I did? Or are we talking about, Tamagotchi things. I had like so many, they all died. I could not keep them alive. That was a weird one that I was very into. Also Beanie Babies.
Oh.
I mean.
I have one right there on my desk.
I had so many. I don't know why I had so many. And the thing is, no one told us if they really knew that because, I don't know about you, I took the stamp off. They're so... Like people sell them for thousands of dollars now.
That's I was gonna say. Yeah,
the new Beanie Babies have the massive eyes, and I'm talking about the old school Beanie Babies with like the little eyes like the regular animals.
I have one here. I'm gonna show you one.
Ooh, which one is it?
Show you.
It's the Millennium one.
Oh, so cute.
When it turned 2000, this is an August one actually because I'm born in August. So
I don't know, and also the clothes. I mean the clothes. It was all baggy and like big suits and big things and wide. I think the 2000s were, but you know what I miss? I miss the quality of TV shows, like the cartoons. Like,
way
let's
better.
Get some Rugrats back on here. Let's get Rocket Power. The best show, and all those, and that Shark Show. I don't know, all those different shows. Just
Ren and Stimpy.
Ren and Stimpy, but not Baby Shark. We're done with Baby Shark.
Oh,
but like all the TV shows of like those Sundays, like turning on TV or Saturdays, like watching.
Yeah.
I miss like the quality TV shows that were back in the 2000s. Let's get some Dawson's Creek back. Let's get some Seventh Heaven.
My gosh.
Let's get it back. And but those things, 2000s were a weird time. They were good. They were good. Maybe some cassettes. What was your first cassette?
Oh, I don't know about cassettes.
I just aged myself. Okay.
No. I was more of I got CDs. You know what?
Mine was Backstreet Boys.
Oh, my NSYNC and Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, but I had hit clips.
Oh, we had hit clips. Yeah.
You guys have hit clips?
That was a good one. Okay.
That's like where it was at. And I would scream out lyrics that I had no idea what the words
and
were.
It was the same 30-second verse from the song.
My brothers hate me still to this day because of it.
I love that.
Good times.
Car rides were fun. So, no, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all that you have. And we hope to have you back on in the future.
Yeah, so much good stuff to talk about.
Just ask anytime.
Oh, thank you. All right, guys. Well, remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram on Thursdays We Thrive, and keep thriving.
Thank you guys for listening to another episode of On Thursdays We Thrive. We love learning and growing with you each Thursday.
If you enjoy listening to us, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast. To connect with us on Instagram, you can follow @On Thursdays We Thrive.
On Thursdays We Thrive is a partnership between Liana Ross, Sam Triani, and Gooding Wellness, LCSW PC. If you are in New York and would like to speak with a therapist directly or to one of us,
head on down to LongIslandTeletherapy.com or GoodingWellness.com. Keep thriving.